West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. I'm on half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, Machel and Santokie, and with me as ever is my partner in crime, Father Santokie. We told you last time we were on screen together that this is a series, a CPL series, where we're starting to gear up towards the Caribbean Premier League 2026 with a deep dive on each of the teams and how they're progressing and drafts and so on and so forth. So you don't know already what that means. It's a Patreon episode. So YouTube, man, you've got about anywhere between 7 to 10 minutes to make sure you scan that QR code to make sure you're locked in fully for all the CPL stuff that we do in 2026. It's in the top left-hand corner of the screen. Get your phone out, scan the QR code like so, and get that $2 out of your pocket and come help the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Santokie, how you doing?
Guyanese man gonna cost me on this special day of Independence Day. The birth of a nation 60 years ago, 1966, and these men are getting that 7-minute YouTube video. CCP, you know how we roll. Happy Independence Day to all my Guyanese and Caribbean people celebrating. I told my mum I'll come around later for that pumpkin dal, cook up rice, choker. You know. And in all seriousness, Mash, if anyone's actually interested, if you read the history of Guyana between probably, let's say, 1954 to 1966 independence, it actually reads like a movie. The drama is actually mad. Involvement from the CIA, the Constitution got suspended, the British government got involved. It was all a madness. Chedi Jagan, Forbes Burnham. So if anyone that isn't aware of the political situation leading up to independence, I highly recommend you to research on the internet. There's loads of good books. And as always, sort of with Caribbean history, a lot of it isn't known around the world, but with Guyanese history, particularly today on Independence Day, it's certainly a day to reflect on sort of the political turmoil and everything that led to the celebration of independence in 1966. But we're going to switch up today, Mash. We looked at Guyana Amazon Warriors in our last episode for CPL. Today, we're looking at the machine, the reigning champions, Trinbago Knight Riders. And I guess the overarching question we're going to ask is, are Trinbago as strong a force this year as they were last year? So as always, we're going to dissect the squad and sort of look into it. Mash, sort of, what's your reflection on, as CPL's been around for about 12 years, how many Trinbago's won it so many times? What is your sort of overall view of Trinbago in terms of how dominant they've been in CPL?
I see Trinbago as basically their. Obviously, the time reference is different now because obviously Manchester United suck. But in terms as CPL's not been around for a long enough time to try and say legacy. But when I think CPL, I look at Trinbago as the real legacy giant of CPL. They're the winningest side in CPL, 5 titles. So what, nearly half the titles of the existence of the competition. Every year, without fail, everyone predicts Trinbago to get to the final. Even I don't think I've ever seen a Trinbago side and thought they look weak. Obviously, they've had a few years here or there where they've underachieved, but generally speaking, you look at their talent and you go, well, they should be in the final 4, probably should get to the final, etc., etc. And obviously, they are the defending champions going into 2026. And I don't know, Santokie, you're an Amazon Warriors fan. Do you look at, and the Trinbago Amazon Warriors rivalry notwithstanding, do you see it that way, as in every year just go, well, whoever beats Trinbago are probably got a good chance of winning this thing?
Yeah, I think that's a valid point. I think Trinbago, particularly about 6 years ago, the pandemic edition of TPL, they won every single game. I think they were 100% record. They stormed through, and I think there was an argument at that point where if you were to have an actual Champions League T20 tournament, Trinbago would probably be at least in the final for that one because of their strong side. And obviously, a large reason for that is their Trinidadian contingent. You've had Sunil Narayan, DJ Bravo, Kyron Pollard, Nicholas Pooran, and then Dre Ross has been added in recent years. So essentially, they've kind of gathered the strongest at T20 cricket in their side. And then they've always done well. I've always thought Trinbago have done well with like their overseas players. So like someone like a Colin Monroe, he's a legacy player for them, essentially. He played so many seasons for them, and he's a solid player. And they had Alex Hales last year. They always tend to kind of, Ali Khan, the US bowler as well. They
Ali
always get
Ali Khan come in like he might all might be from Trinidad, given how much he's the equivalent of Imran Tahir for Trinidad.
literally,
Like,
Ali
you get
Khan
the Trinidadian at this stage.
Ali Khan, yeah, exactly. He's basically honorary member of Trinidad. But I'm just looking, Mash. You know what's actually interesting? Recently in CPL though, this is what we're going to get onto, because if you look at the recent winners since Trinidad won it in 2020, we've had the Patriots won it 2021, Jamaica Talawas 2022, Guyana Amazon Warriors 2023, St. Lucia 24, and then Trinbago 25. So in the last 6 years, we've had 5 different winners. So it does go to the point where obviously Trinbago are strong, but if you can get a win against them, particularly in a knockout, you're likely to kind of go on and win. So without further ado, Mash, shall we dissect the squad? Obviously important to note for people watching, this is the local squad. So the down bad Word document PDF that came into all our emails only contained the local players. Overseas will get added pretty soon, but I'll read it out. So we've got the Trinbago Knight Riders squad. We've got obviously the legacy players, Sunil Narayan, Nicholas Puran, Kyron Pollard, Akil Hussain. Then you've got Justin Graves, Dominic Drakes, Jide Gooley, Dexter Sweens, Terence Hines, and then the 3 emerging players, Abdul Rahim Toppin, Joshua De Silva, and Nathan Edward. Mash, do you want to kind of run through who's been added from this local draft?
Yeah. So before we get into the right to match players, let's get into the changes. So last year's squad, local wise, if I'm correct, this is how they've done it. Darren Bravo, Yannick Carrier, Casey Carty, and McKenny Clark are out. Now, Darren Bravo has no team. Surprisingly, Yannick Carrier has no team in CPL. Really surprised at that one. Casey Carty has gone to Jamaica. McKenny Clark has gone to St. Lucia Kings. Now, to replace them, they've got Justin Graves, Dominic Drakes, Jid Gooley, and Dexter Sween. As Dexter Sween is an interesting one. This was in the CCP Discord. If you want to be part of the CCP Discord, people, you have to become a patron. But it was put in the Discord by Osprey that Dexter Sween has basically, if you look at his career, he played a domestic game 7 years ago in the Caribbean and ain't done nothing. Like, he's been in American minor leagues or something like that, or some T20 Houston Open type competitions since then. And this is his first any kind of domestic level game in the Caribbean for 7 years. So I'd love any Trini or anybody get in the comments and let me know who the hell is Dexter Sween. Come in like man won a competition. Like someone if you're a member of the Trinbago backroom staff, get in the comments below and tell me about how was he scouted to suddenly become a member of Trinbago Knight Riders. And don't get me wrong, as I understand it, he's been doing well, I think, on the American domestic scene, but man ain't been playing nowhere in the Caribbean as far as I can tell. So I'd love someone to get in the comments to update me. Like, if I do a quick search on what do you call it, Google, I can see he's been playing for New York Yorkers. Let me go on man's Instagram. Let me go on the man's Instagram. Scout the man's Instagram. So man's been playing he's been playing in the US Open, Merry Boys Sports Club. Oh, it looks like he's been playing in the domestic Trini leagues recently.
Yeah, I was going to say, he must have been surely in the festival. The Trinidad had a T20 festival, and obviously Kadeem Lane hit a century in the final for Queen's Park Cricket Club. I know Spiceman was in it, Chandrapur Hemraj, so a few. Raymond Reefer was in it as well, so a few internationals. So I don't know if he was in one of the squads for that and done a good performance.
He's been playing in those Dream 11 T10 blast stuff. So in fairness, I've done Dexter Sween dirty. I think he's been on the Trini like Dream 11 type. You know them also, like T10, T20 stuff.
I feel like obviously Guyanese and Trini man can correct me in the comments, but with Guyanese cricket, if you're from the Berbice, if you play in Berbice, there's a massive disconnect between the people who play in Georgetown, for instance. Whereas I feel like with Trinidad, the cricket fraternity is more united, so everyone knows each other. So it might not even be performances. Someone like a Puran or Pollard might have seen Dexter Sween in the nets or practicing or around them, be like, yo, this guy's talented. Like, let's just put him in the squad and go from there. So you never know. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how Dector Swing goes. But Mash, you know what? As a roundup for the YouTube, man, let's kind of give one debate and talking point. So you've obviously got Kyron Pollard, he's 38 years old. Sunil Narayan, ironically today turned 38 years old. Do you think? And DJ Bravo is retired. It's an aging squad. Do you think Trinbago there needs to be at some point a refresher, or with a Pollard? Bearing in mind Pollard's retired from IPL and most of the major T20 leagues. He's more of a coach. He's coaching in 100 just before CPL. Do you think it's time for particularly Narayan, Pollard to step aside and let new man come through, or do you just think it's a case of their legacy is their legacy? People want to come up to see them. They deserve their spot in the squad.
It's a difficult one, because last year we would have said the exact same talking point and then they won the competition, right? So, and Bravo was dancing and he's a coach now and X, Y, Z. So when you see things like that, who are they to say, well, we can't go again? Narayan's had a good IPL this year for KKR. It does, though. And obviously we're big fans of someone like Pollard, but I do wonder sometimes how much does it say about CPL that someone like Pollard can retire from elite T20 competitions, but say, yeah, I'm going to play in this one? Do you get? And that's not actually meant as a criticism, but as a wider T20 consumption person, what does that say that he? Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, because if you're the main event, like without a doubt, IPL, he's retired from IPL. He works as a batting coach there. The 100, he's serving as a head coach. So it's almost like, in football when you get a player manager, but they're not really a player. They're kind of like you just see them as someone who's a manager, and then if needs be, they'll step in for a game or two. So it just kind of feels like, Pollard's out the T20 loop as such as an elite player. The only thing is because this is his local league, the CPL. People are, especially in Trinidad, they're going to want to see him, right? He's Pollard. So I think that's the only reason out of sentimental value. But it wouldn't surprise me. I've just actually checked. He's 39 years old, not 38. Wouldn't surprise me if this is a farewell.
Do you think this might be his last dance?
Yeah, like a swan song. Because when did Bravo retire? Was it last year or the year before?
The year before. So he was head coach last year, and I think his last one was the year before. But then does that mean Bravo didn't retire with a win?
No, he didn't. No.
Yeah, so Bravo's was the year before. And then he won it as head coach last year, if I'm not mistaken. So I wonder if this is Pollard's last year. And it's also worth reminding people that Dre was on this team last year, but Jamaica took him as because Jamaica had the right to take some Jamaican players off other sides. They chose Dre, which I think, we'll get to Jamaica, but that feels like Jamaica took him as we need to get a high profile man to bring out the Jamaican public. Which therefore meant, though, that Trinbago got another right to match, and they've used that on Terence Hines.
Oh, okay.
Hence why they've got 5 Trini man.
Yeah, no, I think it's good to see Dre Ross, as you said, we'll talk about it in the Jamaica episode more, but it's good to see Dre Ross finish his sort of T20 career at his home country, Jamaica, Kingsman, new franchise in Jamaica. So that's good to see. But yeah,
we need to look off YouTube, man,
Yeah, go on then. We gave the 30 minutes, man, I get vexed. There's always one person. I don't know who it is. They always comment. I was happy when the video loaded. I was sad when I saw Santokie's face.
There's a man in the comments who keeps calling you Santokie.
Man says it's a burner account. It's probably a player on a burner account out here.
Right, so YouTube, man, me and Santokie, we're out of here. Patron man, we're coming to you next. Right, Patron man. So Santokie. So Trinbago have the 5 right to matches. You mentioned Pollard before we came to Patron man. You mentioned Pollard, but it's also interesting to me that they use their next right to match on Terence Hines. Now, Terence Hines is a serviceable all-round. He's just had a good West Indies championship. I think he won the award, actually, for best all-rounder in the West Indies championship. Played for West Indies in the last 12 months. He got a call-up, I think, in the T20 squad in the last 12 months as well. It seems like a like-for-like, not a like-for-like, kind of a like-for-like for Dre Russ, but it seems like they wanted to make sure they had a genuine all-rounder in their squad. They may yet use one of their overseas picks on a genuine you think it is fair, that Guyana and Trinidad, more than any other teams in the competition, essentially they basically have their home nation players who are all quote unquote top players in a way that St. Kitts can't. Obviously, there's not many St. Kitts top players in the way that who's another team that we should say. Looks like Santokie's gone brief. We will try and get Santokie back, people. But it's just interesting to me that when you have some teams like St. Kitts, who obviously don't have a massive core of players that they can pick from, that Trinidad and Guyana are able to hold on to their core of national players. And it seems like CPL doesn't make any contingency to force Trinbago or Guyana to have to lose. Well, people, who knows what just happened there? Who really knows what just happened? We're still recording. So, Santokie, who froze there?
I thought it was you threw strays at me. You said Santokie's disappeared. So I thought it was me. These times I was still on the screen and you just disappeared.
So who knows? For Patreon man who's watching this, I'm going to try to have skillfully edited this all to make it look like nothing happened. But depending on what you did or didn't see, let me just quickly return to the points, Santokie, because I've even all lost my upload, etc. There we go. The point I was making, Santokie, before I work out who was off the screen and who was frozen and whatnot, is that I was trying to say to you that I find CPL a bit weird in that you have a team like St. Kitts who, because they naturally don't have a super strong St. Kitts core, right, that they can pick from. They can't just right to match 6 St. Kitts man or within the kind of combined islands itself and say, right, there's our strong team. Or similarly with Antigua, they might say, boy, we can't just right to match 5 or 6 Antiguan man and expect to go up against the juggernaut that is Trinbago and Guyana. So are CPL missing a trick here by not forcing Guyana and Trinbago to lose some of their national strength to balance out CPL a bit? Or is this just the game's the game and that's how the competition goes?
Yeah, I think it's the latter. The game is the game, but I would like to see more switches. Like Moti going to Barbados was a good move, just because Moti's been at Guyana Amazon his whole career. It's good to freshen it up. We saw a few years ago, Pollard went to Barbados, became an honorary Bajan at one point. Like the Barbados fans really took to him after initial hostility. So it's good to switch it around. But I think fundamentally, the fact that this is based around nations means franchises, who have the money are always going to dictate that. They have the core sort of local players. And what I think is interesting with Trinbago is the side that won it last year. We had Monroe, Hales, Pooran, and Darren Bravo as their top 4. So obviously it depends on if they re-sign Monroe and Hales or what overseas players. But essentially at the moment, from this local squad, you've only got Pooran from that top 4. Do you think, Mash, it would be a like-for-like switch, Darren Bravo for Justin Graves, or is that putting too much on Justin Graves being a big hitter? Where do you see Justin Graves coming in and fitting into the 11 as that number 4 kind of role?
I don't know where they plan to play Graves, but of the 4 domestic men that they've brought in, Graves, Drake, Sween, and Gooley, great. But then again, it all depends on who. Like I looked at it again. Dexter Sween plays at Pooran's domestic club in Trinidad, KFC Clark Road United. So I wonder if there's a brethren thing there as well. So it all depends on how they view Sween as a hard-hitting batter. Kind of feels like the Quentin Sampson thing, where it's like man was doing well in wind ball and up he comes through the system and so on and so forth. For me, you go with Graves initially because he's a West Indian batter and experienced and so on and so forth. It'll be very interesting to see if they use one of their overseas picks on boosting up their top order, because they have no openers, right? Every year, it feels like Monroe plays for Trinidad every year. I'm just looking at Trinidad 2 years ago. So did they have Monroe 2 years ago? Actually, they didn't, They had Tim David and all them, man. So I'm not even sure. Oh, Jason Roy was there 2 years ago, right? So it feels like they're going to go for some overseas openers to fill out that top order. Don't know who at this stage. And to replace Bravo, they may well go with another overseas opener again. And then I think you made this point when we looked at Guyana, because CPL this year is after that Pakistan series. You kind of sense that if they can, I could see how they'd go for I could see how they'd go for the exact same overseas man, you know. I could see them going for Mohamed Amir again. I can see them going for Usman Tariq again if they can. Why would you not?
Yeah, and like we said, because the Pakistan players will be around the Caribbean in the summer, and they're obviously available. I think yeah, like you said, why wouldn't you? They're tried and tested. They do well. So yeah, I think that would make sense. And yeah, we're going back to the openers. I think they'll get 2 overseas openers. Then the interesting one is Pooran, because obviously you'd expect him to come at 3. Usually there's not much pressure on Pooran because he's an elite player, but he's coming off a rotten IPL. I don't even know what he averaged in the IPL for Lucknow Super Giants, but I've seen it come up a few times on social media. He's not been performing well. It's not the first time it's happened with Pooran, so he has come back from setbacks in the IPL. But I think when you're someone of his standing, he'll want to use the CPL to kind of lay down the marker that you look, that was just a blip and I'm back. So it'll be interesting to see the confidence that Pooran carries or doesn't carry through to CPL.
For sure. And then if we just look at the Bruckdown League players, so they've used those spots on. So they retain Nathan Edward because you're always allowed to retain one breakout league player. So they retained Nathan Edward, and he's a promising all rounder. Very similar though to Dominic Drake. So it'll be very interesting to see what they're planning to do there.
Dominic Drake's is because I think he won. Him and Josh won CPL with the Patriots a few years ago, and at that point, Drake's was like getting deals in T20 leagues, whereas now he basically just plays CPL. I know he played. I think he's played in a Canadian league, etc., associate leagues, but he's not really on the franchise circuit. So it's disappointing to see Dominic Drake kind of fall off. But like you said, he's coming into the squad as sort of like for like with Nathan Edwards. So it'd be interesting to see who they sort of go for. Jahid Gully as well is an interesting one because you don't really see much of him in T20 cricket. He's around, you see him more in obviously the red ball and the 50 over. Be interesting to see how he goes. Do they fit him as a top order batter? Do they use him more as a power hitter further down the line? Does Pollard play every game as well? That's also important. Does he rotate himself? Does he play every game? Does he have the match fitness to play every game in a CPL season? Bearing in mind, coming into that tournament, he would have been on the bench as a head coach for MI London in the 100. So there's a lot of interesting questions. And obviously Josh as well, Mash. Josh is coming off that hype of winning a 4-day league. He's played in franchise as well. He's Trinidadian. Did they give Josh a role in that top order potentially as to kind of use that confidence booster from him winning the 4-day season? So there's a lot of intriguing questions, but I just think generally, obviously, a lot's going to depend on their overseas players. But I kind of think it's an underwhelming squad if you're looking at local squads. If you're taking it on name value, yes, Narayan, Pooran, Pollard.
Yeah.
But Narayan and Pollard coming towards the end of their career. Pooran out of sorts so far this year in T20 cricket. I just think there's not much to get excited about from a Trinbago point of view. Obviously, Trini man are going to come for me in the comments.
I was going to say, hold on, Trini man are going to say the guy needs bias cuts.
But I just think if you're looking at this squad, if you've got like we didn't even know, we had to Google who Dexter Sween was, right? And he's in that top bracket there. So I think it's a strong squad. I think they'll obviously compete because Narayan is Narayan. Pooran will probably come back at some point. But I just think for a Trinbago squad that we've known in recent years, it's definitely underwhelming. But that goes back to our overarching point, Mash, that we make. West Indies haven't created the next generation of superstars beyond the Pooran and Hetmeyer. So how many superstars can you fit into a squad? So I think it's more of a reflection of where T20 cricket is in the Caribbean.
It's also worth before I forget. Remember that this year's competition, you have to play a breakout league player in every 11. So when I look at those breakout league players, I'm looking at Nathan Edward, Josh De Silva, Abdul Rahim Toppin. Toppin obviously wasn't in the squad last year. Now, last year, Josh played 2 games. Edward played 4. McKenny Clark, who's obviously gone to St. Lucia Kings, played 4. Who looks the most likely in your mind to get that automatic pick in the 11?
I think Josh will.
I was about to say that, but then he'd have to take the gloves, right?
But then do they give Darwin that responsibility? And then it just frees it up by him taking that responsibility. But I just think Josh is coming off the 4-day season, and a lot depends on sort of if he makes a test recall as well. He'll have that prominence, so they could just go with Josh. But I think of the three, Josh is the most likely to get game, surely.
It's going to be very, very interesting, and I think ultimately a lot rests on the nature of their overseas players. I mean, you've gone with the idea that this isn't this doesn't stand out in the way that you expect Trinbago sides to stand out, the name value notwithstanding. But if they were to get 5 top quality overseas players, whatever top quality means nowadays, then yes. Like if their overseas players were something like Usman Tariq, Mujib from Afghanistan, and then two like say it was Hales and Monroe again to open, and then an Ali Khan or whatever, you'd probably go, okay, yeah, this is a strong team.
Yeah, exactly.
So it all depends on what their overseas lineup is like.
And I guess for a competition, just to end, it makes it for good viewing that there's not a team that's levels above everyone else. So it could very well be we could see another winner. We could see the 6th winner for the last 7 seasons this year in CPL. So that wraps up the Trinbago Knight Riders preview with the local players. As always, comment below on a Patreon page your thoughts, your opinions. How do you think the Trinbago side compares to previous years? What do you make of the likes of Dexter Swede, Nathan Edward coming in? Do you think this is the year Josh Da Silva gets a run in CPL, coming in at top order? I know he played for St. Kitts at number 3 a few years ago in the pandemic era, but since then he's kind of been infrequently used in the CPL. So does he get a clean run? So a lot of talking points. And also the final one, do you think Pollard should retire after this season? There's a lot, I'm sure that will be a divisive topic. So as ever, that's been Mash. I've been Santokie. If you're Guyanese, happy Independence Day once again. Hope you celebrate with your family this evening. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching in the world. Like, comment, share, subscribe as always. We're on all the social channels. You can see the icons above us. And we'll be back very, very soon with another CPL preview. Mash out here flying, flying the CCP flag over to Ireland. He'll be following West Indies women against Ireland on Thursday and West Indies women against Pakistan women on Friday. Covering that, I'm sure he'll get loads of content. Maybe an interview with the GOAT herself, Hayley Matthews. So there'll be a lot of content coming thick and fast on CCP. So keep an eye out for that, and we'll see you very soon.
Peace, people.
West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket.